And now, introducing the hottest new tag team in podcasting, George Feast, Johnny Clash, the Game Marks.
Welcome to the Game Marks podcast. My name is George Feast, and I, as always, am here with my tag team partner, independent wrestler Johnny Clash.
What's up?
Each week on this podcast, we break down the good, the bad, and the awesome of wrestling video games and offer up our rating of Play It Forever or Future Endeavor.
You're fired!
This week on the podcast, we are playing Pro Wrestling for the Nintendo Entertainment System. But before we get into that, let's do a little follow-up from last week. John, how are you, my friend?
Good. As you're listening, hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's technically this week if you're listening to the week we released this. So happy 2020. Hope the decade was good to you. Hope the new year was good to you. Hope you're all hitting the gym or whatever your resolutions are, because that's usually what it is. That's what mine is.
Will we be posting our 10-year challenge to our Instagram page?
Nope. Nope, I'm good.
Good. I was kind of hoping we weren't going to do that either.
Yeah. So anyway, last week we played Hammerlock Wrestling. It was a bit of a shorter episode, but I mean, it was a holiday week. I'm sure no one wanted to open their presents and listen to our voice. Unless you did, then you got graced with Hammerlock Wrestling.
Yeah, it was an episode to keep it short and sweet for the holidays. It was the game that really didn't have a ton to it, so we figured that was a good time of year. Get a quick listen maybe on the on your ride to your plans for the big holiday, and then, you know, just get to enjoy the rest of the time with your family and your new presents. Maybe some new video games.
Anyway, Hammerlock Wrestling. I'm sticking by my Future Endeavor rating, and I'm still intrigued by like the camera angles and everything we talked about last week, but it just wasn't enough to pull me back in.
Maybe that'll be something that we revisit during our live stream, and we'll just do a couple of matches in there just to see, you know, how we feel. Maybe it's a little different when it's live. But I agree. Still intrigued by the camera angles and the cuts, but just still kind of jarring and weird, and yeah, wasn't wowed.
Still weird.
Yeah.
And as always, if you're enjoying this podcast, please subscribe, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and tell your friends about it. See, we're a podcast for everyone. Even if you don't like specifically wrestling video games, you know, there's still something you could relate to. Maybe you played one in the past. Maybe you enjoy our gaming news. Maybe you enjoy how dumb we are. I don't know. There's something for everyone
that's
here.
My favorite part.
Yeah.
So, being that it was the holidays and we're kind of wrapping up 2019, there's not a ton of gaming news on the horizon, but we're going to do something a little different. We want to know what you guys got for Christmas and how it relates to either wrestling or video games, or if you just got something that was really kick-ass, like, you know, we want to hear about it. We want to know what your number one gift for Christmas 2019 was.
Did you get the $25 2K20 because your parents were paying for it, not you? Maybe. I don't know. But it's a good idea.
There is one little bit of trivia for WWE. Recent update to the Twitter machine shows us that WWE 2K20 is now on sale for $19.99.
I mean, I paid $29.99 maybe. So you think they'll give me a refund?
I wonder if it's like a special end of the year kind of promo, and then maybe it'll go back up, or if this is just them now trying to bridge the gap.
I don't know. Either way, if you're a fan of these games, there's no reason not to get it. Let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely. More content, more patches coming out.
Yeah, and as of right now, where they're at with the patches, it's almost, I know it took them forever, it's almost completely fixed, and it's a playable game. I've played it. The only thing I didn't like was how long it takes in between each cutscene in my career mode. That's about it. Everything else was pretty cool.
That'll be something that we absolutely play on our 6-hour live stream on Twitch coming in 2020.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I think it's about time for us to get into a little segment that we like to call the question of the week. Clash, did you happen to see that new shirt that we released on GameMarksPod.com?
Of course I did, Georgie. I bought them for all of my Secret Santas.
Oh boy, and what a gift it was. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's available in men's, women's, kids, tank tops, long sleeve, and even sweatshirts.
All of that, plus, it was designed by me.
Oh god, I guess everyone needs their moment, and this will be yours, John. Head on over to GameMarksPod.com and get yours today. Our first shirt, Johnny boy. What do you think?
I love it. I would, play it forever.
A Johnny Clash special.
Anyway, this is my turn to ask you a question this week. And
I'm ready.
I'm going to keep it simple. George, what's your New Year's resolution?
Ooh. I mean, the easy one is to just say like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym more, I'm going to eat better. But like, I feel like that's just like a given. Like that's just like a lifestyle change that I'm kind of like in the middle of doing. So I'm going to save that one. My New Year's resolution is... That's a good question, man. That's tough. Because there's so many things that I want to be like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like, I would love to just say like, I want to keep the podcast going, like bigger and better, full steam ahead. I would like to work all year long to try to make Gameboree 2020 even bigger than it was this year. I would love to say that we'll be able to do more guest episodes and have a ton of more guests that, you know, are bigger and better than the guests that we've already had. I think that's what I'm going to go with. I think if I say it, this is my, what did we talk about with CPA? This is on my Ryback goal board.
Yeah.
Make the Game Marks podcast bigger and better.
Feed
Extend
George
our
more.
reach. Yes. Game me more.
Ooh, t-shirt.
Or feed me games. But yeah, that's my resolution. Just make it bigger, better. Let's get more guests. Let's have more fun. Because this is already the highlight of my week. But if we could do something to make it even bigger and better and be able to give our listeners more content, I'm all for it.
Well, you know what they say. To have a successful business, to have a successful business partner, you need to be on the same track. So I have to 110% agree with everything you just said. And 2020 will be bigger, better, and yeah, we're going to start planning Gameboree 2020 now. So it is bigger and better, and we could do even more.
2020, the year of the Game Marks.
But other than that, my boots are shined. Got a new pair of tights coming.
Ooh.
I think there's still some left in the tank.
Ooh, are we gonna go through Clash's list right now?
Let's save that because the list isn't done yet. But
all right, so let's do this. Let's say Johnny Clash's 2020 wrestling list, and then separately we will post our call-outs for the guests that we want in 2020 on our podcast.
That's a good idea. Yeah, let's see what we can do.
Think that's good?
Yeah. But I still got some left in the tank, brother.
Hey,
the
you know what?
Bump card ain't full yet.
Yeah, if you talk to CPA, bump card doesn't exist.
Yeah, until you see him walk. With that, are you ready to deep dive into one of the oldest wrestling games in existence, Pro Wrestling?
I am.
And this week, the deep dive is sponsored by VGF Gamers.
VGF Gamers are the largest silicone gaming brand in the USA. They have a variety of different and unique skins for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One consoles and controllers. Check out their products at VGFgamers.com and use code GameMarks to receive 15% off on your order at checkout. That's GAMEMARKS at checkout VGF Gamers, better grips, better style. So, Pro Wrestling for the Nintendo Entertainment System, released in North America in 1987. So, Pro Wrestling is a pro wrestling video game released originally for the Famicom Disk System in 1986. It was later released in North America and Europe for the NES. The game was the third wrestling game on the Nintendo Entertainment System after Muscle and Tag Team Wrestling.
And have you ever seen those two?
I have played Tag Team Wrestling. I have not played Muscle.
They are rough. They are very rough.
I think Tag Team Wrestling was something that my cousin had, and he let me play it a couple times, and I didn't understand. I was too used to like Mario and Contra, and this was just like not that same kind of fluid style. So
Not at all.
So in this game, you choose from up to 6 wrestlers, each with a unique set of wrestling moves. In addition to punching, kicking, and running attacks, wrestlers may lock up, or, the common term is like a grapple move.
Collar and elbow tie.
There you go. You got your body slams, a pile driver, and a bunch of other moves like a suplex, a back body drop, things like that. Your wrestler is also able to climb up to the top turnbuckle, and you can either drop a set of knees, or you can do a big splash.
Kind of like a meteora from the top onto a body. Which would suck.
Okay, so
that would suck so bad.
I was just going to say, I feel like things, even though graphics are way better nowadays, because there's no like collision detection, things look like they hurt significantly more without collision detection.
But at the same time, some of the moves we saw, it seemed like there was collision detection.
Yeah, which is weird. I don't know if it was so much collision detection as it was either coincidence or maybe it was like their form of a reversal.
Yeah, that's possible.
So matches are 1-on-1 with no option for tag teams, which sucks, but also
there's only 6 wrestlers.
I get it. So you can pick up your opponent from the map, leaving them a little stunned for a little bit. You can give yourself a little window to maybe execute a signature or special move. Much like in real professional wrestling, a wrestler who is pinned for the 3 count is the loser.
Story of my life.
What? Wow. You literally just said you got a lot left in the tank, and now you're already getting down on yourself?
Listen, man, you got to make a living whether you win or lose.
Bump card, man.
Bump card. So yeah, one thing we had an issue with during our matches was leaving the ring. There's the typical 20 count, which is normal for most wrestling games, and you can lose via countout or draw if you're both outside the ring.
Which I definitely lost one of the matches that we played to a countout because I didn't know that you had to get in from the front of the ring, and I kept trying to get in from the side.
You get thrown out through the side of the ring. You can't get back in through the side of the ring. I don't know if that was just a glitch for our version or if that's really how it is, but we had to actually physically walk to the front of the ring and get in, which kills like 6 seconds. So it is possible for you to be counted out while executing a plancha. And
wait.
Yeah. So if your feet don't cross by the 20 count, you're out.
I didn't even know that you could do a plancha in this game.
Neither did I.
I would have thought that this is a little too early for planchas to be put in games. Huh.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that could be one of Starman's signature moves, if you think about it.
I have to go and try that out.
Yeah, we'll go back.
So what do you say we talk about this iconic artwork? This has been turned into t-shirts. This has been used as inspiration for just designs in general. I mean, it's that classic Nintendo box art. But this version in particular for pro wrestling, it's made the rounds. I mean, countless wrestlers have had this style.
I think my favorite t-shirt I own is a Bret Hart version of this from Pro Wrestling Tees.
And there's also the Young Bucks have a version of this.
Yep.
There's the John Cena version.
Yeah, this is great. Last week when we were talking about the Hammerlock artwork, you asked me, is this iconic? Is this what you think of? Is this like a classic game cover? I say no. This one is the classic game artwork, like the artwork of all.
Oh
artwork.
yeah. All right, so the back of the box though, very basic, exactly what you would expect. Pro wrestling. Now real wrestling action is at your fingertips. A little paragraph briefly touching on the game, a couple of the characters, the kind of experience that you can expect to have. You got some great screenshots that paint the picture for exactly what your experience is going to be. You have that iconic, classic Nintendo gold foil seal.
You know, looking at this, like game artwork and like the back covers and everything, they haven't really strayed away from like this classic look that much.
No, this is it. This was, I mean, what more do you need? You need a couple of paragraphs, a couple sentences about the game, a couple screenshots so you know. I think the main difference between box art now and box art back in the day is that I think there's like the programs that they were using to make the box art got better, so you can have like cutouts and, you know, transparency is a thing.
Yeah. Not just the space starry background.
Yeah, it's not just a flat image laid over.
So what do you say we get into the deep roster of this game?
Oh God, I don't know if I can do this. I'm gonna have to split this.
All right, you know what? You put your feet up. I know you had a long day. I'll take care of this.
You spoil me, John.
So, Pro Wrestling's roster consists of 7 wrestlers, with 6 playable and 1's the final boss. Fighter
Okay.
Hayabusa, nicknamed the Invincible Warrior, his special move is the back brain kick. Starman, wearing a bright pink jumpsuit with a blue star over his face, Starman is nicknamed the Super Space Traveler. He has 2 special moves, the somersault kick and the flying cross chop. Kincorn Karn, featuring an oddly purple goatee in his picture, he is nicknamed a living karate tool. Not a tool as in saying he's a tool, he's a karate tool. His special moves are the karate kick and the Mongolian chop. There's Giant Panther, an absurdly tan...
He's not just a regular tan.
This is the
It's not
actual
just regular
description.
tan.
An absurdly tan man who is also known as the ultimate human weapon, which is as close to the ultimate warrior as one could get without being sued.
You know what? I'll take it.
His special moves are the Iron Claw and the Headbutt. That damn Iron Claw. The Amazon, who invented the crazy green guy niche long before Blanca ever came around. This half man, half piranha sports the piranha bite and the outlaw choke as his specials, and even has the courtesy to deny any illegal moves to the ref every time he does them. King Slender. He looks frightening, similar to a blonde Andre the Giant, also goes by Cold-Blooded Warrior Jr. A man this large and fearsome only needs one special move, and it is the backbreaker. Then the Great Puma, a man of great mystery, and that's not just including his oddly white face. The perfect warrior, he has no special move of his own because he can use any and all of his opponent's moves.
Wow. A copycat boss.
So it's like doing the hard grapple and then, what was it in No Mercy? How'd you steal the move? A and B together?
A, B.
Yeah. Way before that, we had this.
Copycat boss. Love it. That's such a great crossover from like the fighter style games. Like those classic side scroll beat 'em ups. That was like, for the longest time, that was it. This is great.
So even though there's only 6 wrestlers, I think that is what makes the game so iconic still, because they're just like, they're classics, even though they're not all modeled after real wrestlers and they're not real wrestlers. These are still just
what?
Like you still remember these names, the characters, the likenesses, you know what they look like. This is as nostalgic as nostalgic gets.
And you know what? I think between the, like you said, the characters, the gameplay, just the Nintendo itself, this box art whether or not you played the game, you definitely know that you're aware of it. Like, you know that the game exists.
Oh, absolutely.
So, jumping into the gameplay of this game. So, normal single matches consisted of a series of 5 matches before confronting the VWA champion, King Slender, for the title. However, if you happen to be going through with King Slender, Giant Panther serves as the boss in the final champion match. Now, once you win the title, the second stage of gameplay consists of defending the title 10 times before facing VWF champion Great Puma in an inter-promotional match to crown the undisputed wrestling champion at the end of the game.
Dun, dun,
Wow.
dun.
Undisputed wrestling champion.
Wow.
This game is very ahead of its time. Who knew?
Who knew?
Now, this was our specialty. The 2-player gameplay mode consisted of one-on-one matches in a best-of-3 series. We didn't even have to challenge you to the best-of-3.
Nope.
They just gave it to us.
I guess a game with less, game modes kind of needed something else. And hey, if
They
you're not,
needed a shtick.
yeah, if you're not going to put steel chairs and all that in there, why not put 2 out of 3 falls?
Yeah.
So, a little bit about the development of this game. Masato Masuda thought up the game development, and he was the sole programmer of the entire game. He was working for Nintendo R&D3 development team. Shortly after the game was released, he left Nintendo and joined Try, T-R-Y, which later became Human. He later worked on Human's popular Fire Pro Wrestling series.
Oh. Have you ever heard of that series?
Yeah, I think I've pissed people off about it.
I was a big fan of that series, if I recall.
Yeah. So, but listen, that's as living the dream as living the dream is. You developed one of the most iconic wrestling games on your own, and then you went on to work on another extremely popular game series that's still going.
Yeah, and not just for any company. They have ties in with New Japan now.
Yeah, that's huge.
It's nuts.
Now, what I would like to know is if there was ever any talk of developing pro wrestling with licensed names like Hulk Hogan, Lex Luger, Yokozuna, the typical ones we see later on.
So, really, really early on, I want to say, it's a game that we're going to play eventually, but I want to say it was for the Atari or one of those really early style games. There's a game called Micro Brawlers, which technically is like a licensed WWE game. Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke. The name of the game is called Micro League Wrestling.
Yeah, I've seen this.
But
I've never played
it. Technically, this is the first licensed WWF game, and it came out in '87 for the Amiga and the Commodore 64. Going way back.
All right, so what do you say we get into our favorite part of every episode?
It's time for a little R&R?
A little R&R, a little reception and ratings. So, Computer Gaming World named pro wrestling as the best sports game of 1988. Good year. For Nintendo, that is. Stating that it offered realistic graphics, non-stop action, and realistic wrestling moves. I'll give them the wrestling move part. That brainbuster looked pretty lethal.
Hey, you know what? I gotta say, for the time, though, these graphics are pretty great. People were playing Pong before this.
Right, and if you look at muscle and tag team wrestling, this is way ahead of it. So Computer Gaming World concluded that pro wrestling was the only wrestling game that really understands what it is simulating. So it's the only game that actually, I guess, took the pro wrestling concept and turned it into a video game properly. And Game Informer named it the 79th best game ever made in their 2001 list.
Huh.
That's pretty up there. That's a long time to compile a list.
Wow.
The staff of Game Informer considered it a trailblazer and praised its soundtrack. Now, this beautiful soundtrack, let me tell you. You know what it doesn't do is get on your nerves at all while you're playing this game. Let me tell you.
How many songs are in this game?
It just sounded like one. Just one continuous.
I only heard one, but am I wrong?
Don't think so. I don't know. We started like round 2 once, and it did sound like different, but I don't know if it actually was.
Huh.
I think if you were to ever put someone in like a dark room that you need to like spill their lies, you could just play this soundtrack over and over again.
Wow. Okay.
However, better than the Fire Pro soundtrack.
Oh, Jesus.
I gotta shoot my shot. Okay, so the ratings. As we just said, Game Informer, 79th on their best games list in 2001. Nintendo Life gave it a 6.3 out of 10. And just like we said last week, there's no IGN, no GameSpot, no Metacritic because this game is very old. Which I'm surprised a game like this that they don't go back and they rate. But I guess with the advancements now and what we're used to now, it wouldn't be a fair assessment.
I guess that's not their forte is current stuff, not necessarily like current for the time.
Yeah, I understand. I guess that's why they have user ratings, which, speaking of, Game FAQ, their user rating is a 3.35 out of 5, and GameSpot's user rating is a 7.9 out of 10. So, I guess if you ratio those out, it's kind of similar.
And they're all weird ratings this week.
All weird rating. We love weird ratings.
Give me your 7.3 repeating ratings.
And what do you say we give a little fast facts about pro wrestling?
All right. Let's go fast facts.
The game featured one of the earliest in-ring referees notable for actually moving into position to make counts, as well as the first instance of a cameraman in a wrestling game.
Pro wrestling was also notable for being among the first wrestling games to feature unique wrestler movesets, with each grappler featuring at least one signature maneuver.
Pro wrestling is notable for introducing the world to the famously mistranslated "a winner is you" after each victory. The phrase has gone on to become a famous internet meme, being referenced elsewhere in pop culture.
Great Puma is often considered to be one of the most difficult NES final bosses, due to his ability to utilize the signature moves of every other wrestler on the roster.
Well, I guess they never played against Mike Tyson. Fighter Hayabusa and King Slender are thought to be modeled after the real-life wrestlers Antonio Inoki and Ric Flair.
Now, I don't know about you, but I think when we finally open up that pro wrestling tee store, we need some kind of "a winner is you."
Yeah, 100%.
A game mark is you.
Game over marks or something.
All right. It is now time for our weekly tournament known as Clash at the Feast. All right. So, would you like to take us through this week, or would you like me to do it?
I think I've been taking us through it, so you could take us through the misery.
So, I was Giant Panther, the absurdly tan man, and you were Starman with your bright pink jumpsuit. And, boy, did you love that somersault dropkick.
Yeah, but it seemed like the star on his face was just a target for you, so.
Yeah,
for your Iron Claw.
Your two signature moves, like we mentioned before, you had the somersault kick and the flying cross chop, which I don't think you hit once.
Nope.
And I had the headbutt and the way overutilized Iron Claw with quite possibly the best animation in the entire game. Best of 3 series. Match 1 went to Johnny Clash. Match 2 went to George Feast. And match 3, and your winner for this week, after a devastating Iron Claw clothesline combination, George Feast. Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Yeah, so when I speak, I don't know what I'm saying half the time. I get hit
Good
with
thing we have a podcast.
I get hit with a lot of things in the head between, wrestling and hockey. So I may have said I have 7 wins, but the score is actually now 12-6, George. And you know what will help with this if I finally get that match graphic made where I show who has won everything. So stay tuned.
Not intentionally trying to embarrass you on your own podcast. I'm really good at video games.
You know what it is? The first game, I figured it. I figured your moves out. I was figuring out where to go. I was maneuvering around you. I got the pins. I was like pin right away. Right after every move, I'm like, I'm just gonna pin him after everything. Do the little VSK body slam into a splash pin. And it worked. Second game, you started figuring me out.
Changed my strategy.
It was close. We both were getting the 2 counts. We were both getting the 2.5s, but you got it. By the third match, you figured out how to do the Iron Claw with every grapple. There was no way around it.
I will say this. The numbers don't show it, but our gameplay is always super competitive, and 9 times out of 10, I barely inch away with the win. We've talked about it before, how a lot of my wins I just barely sneak in at the last second. The numbers are not an accurate representation of the quality of gamer that you are.
Which is why we like to post Clash at the Feast on YouTube. This week we did not, because we figured it's going to be punches and kicks. There's not going to be much to see, but in the future, including next week, we will keep pumping out that YouTube content. So subscribe and check it out.
Oh boy, and wait till a little later when you guys hear what we're playing next week. We are coming in strong. All right. So we've talked about Clash at the Feast. We've talked about the wonderful quality of gamer that you are, my friend. And now I think it is time for us to get into the main bread and butter, the most important part of this podcast, our ratings. Johnny Clash. Pro Wrestling for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Are you going to play it forever? Woo! Or future endeavor?
You're fired!
Okay. I've been giving the long-winded ones now. And you just been agreeing with me, so.
What a switch we've had.
I'll say this. I was having a blast playing this game. 2 out of 3 falls, a little repetitive. I would have liked to do just one game and get it over with and then move on to the next character. I think that helps a lot, not playing as the same person over and over again. But even so, this is the wrestling game. I'm going to play it forever.
Woo! I am also going to play it forever. Woo! It is a staple. Absolute staple. It is the backbone of the wrestling video game genre. It is so iconic. It is so much fun. Almost to the point of bordering stupid and ridiculous fun. But fun nonetheless. I would have really, really like to see them go and do a Pro Wrestling 2 for the Super Nintendo. And, looking back and thinking that the same person that made this game was one of the developers for Fire Pro, you really can see the influence. Graphically, environmentally, aesthetically, there's a lot of little details in this game between the animations in the crowd, the announcers, which were great.
Oh, the announcers. We didn't even get into the crowd and the announcers. Big
fan of the crowd and the announcers in this game. Thought it was great.
Is it even a game if I don't touch on the crowd?
I know. I feel like the last couple of games that we've played haven't had crowds because it was Vendetta, which doesn't really have a crowd, and Backstage Assault, which doesn't even have a ring. So
no ring. Love this crowd. Love the pro wrestling crowd. Not only do you get all these little heads bobbing up and down behind a guardrail, similar to WrestleMania and In Your House, you have the two announcers sitting with the fans, probably drinking beer with them, chilling, but they actually react to the moves and react to the ref. It's great.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And there's a lot of audio cues when you hit big moves. Just all in all, just a fantastic game, inside and out. Big seal of approval on this game from the Game Marks podcast. If we had an ultimate golden play it forever, I would give it to this.
I would like to see Mario as the ref if there was ever a remake.
Now we're crossing over into Punch-Out.
Exactly.
All right. So, what do you say we get into what we are playing, coming out, swinging for 2020?
Ooh. Can I say it?
Oh yeah. Take it.
We are playing.
Please.
We're playing for the PlayStation 1.
The drum roll in the background.
The groundbreaking, the innovative, a series that went on for years. Oh, I said Siri and she lit up. A series
oh my god,
that went on for years to come. WWF SmackDown for the PlayStation 1. Give me all of those crappy music video entrances.
I love this game so much. See, this is one of those games that I am actually kind of afraid to play, because it's a game that I haven't played in many, many years, and I am not sure if I've got some nostalgia goggles on.
Well, that's the point of this podcast. I guess we will see.
I'm actually a little bit afraid that I may be tainting some childhood memories now, going back and playing this. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for us this week on the Game Marks podcast. Don't forget to follow us on all social media at Game Marks Pod. Leave us a review and a rating on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to us wherever great podcasts can be found. Happy New Year, everybody. Say goodnight, Johnny.
Game over. Marks.